Welcome back to Liverpool Latest. First piece of business. Go Knicks. Second piece of business. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to never miss an upload. Almost daily uploads occur here on the channel. So what you should be doing, hitting the subscribe button and making sure that you don't miss the latest news and rumors from Liverpool Football Club. Like this piece of news that has come across my feeds over the course of the last day or so. Federico Chiesa, who I believe is one of the most disrespected players on the entire squad. I think Chiesa is a pretty solid player. I don't think he was our best by any means, but I do think he was never given a proper chance to shine under Arne Slot's regime. As a matter of fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we had signed him when Klopp was on his way out and Arne was on his way in. So it just was a matter of bad timing for Chiesa at that period. That said, he did manage to have some success. 5 goals, 5 assists. Apparently, he's managed to have 48 appearances in his time at Liverpool Football Club. Most of those coming from, being subbed on from the bench. As a matter of fact, it seems like he has just had one, according to a report I saw, he has had one single Premier League game start, I should say, all season, which strongly suggests that he has fallen out of core rotation, which is funny because that the article says that, because I never really considered him part of the core rotation to begin with because he was given so little chance to actually shine. But that is just my personal opinion. But the main piece of news in regards to Chiesa is as follows. He is reportedly prepared to accept a lower salary in order to leave Liverpool this summer and return back to Italy and Serie A. Reports states that he currently earns roughly 6 to 6.5 million euros annually, but is willing to compromise financially to secure a regular football role elsewhere. So, if you ask me, this is kind of a sad thing to read. The fact that he'd be willing to take less money just to get out of a club that's one of the biggest clubs in the entire world. A club that anyone in his position would be grateful to be a part of in some capacity. Unfortunately for Chiesa, that is not meant to be, considering some fitness issues and inconsistent, some injuries, inconsistent fitness issues. Of course, like I mentioned, limited opportunity have prevented him from truly ever establishing himself as a proper player on the squad. On paper, though, this feels more like a practical departure than a controversial one, though I very much disagree with the controversial aspect. As far as Liverpool goes, this is very much a no-brainer, low-risk financial deal that they can do with Juventus. They could just send them right back to where he came and be done with it. I'm disappointed. I believe Chiesa, especially early on in the season, was probably one of the harder working guys on the field. Especially when he ran all the way across the field to block what would have been a guaranteed goal, solidifying Arne Slot's job with Liverpool. And had that goal gone in, maybe we'd have a different conversation right now. If you ask me, I don't think Chiesa was the best player on the team. And I think that is pretty evident. I also think that he was never, like I said, given a proper opportunity to show what he was truly made of. And the one time or two times he did start for Liverpool or had significant playing time on the field, didn't really pan out the way that any of us who wanted to support him had hoped. Granted, I think Arne Slot's style of football is not necessarily geared towards a player like Chiesa to begin with. So it is a real shame to see that such a talent that could have been good kind of flopped, and it's not necessarily entirely his fault, to be honest with you. I am a firm believer that Arne Slot was one of the reasons why Chiesa didn't get to excel the way we all would have liked him to excel. And I think that in post-match discussions, when talking about Chiesa, Arne Slot handled questions and comments towards him in a certain way that, if it was me, I would have deemed disrespectful, or at least how it would come off. That it came off as disrespectful to me. So, you ask me, I think this is a very good mutual parting of ways. I love Chiesa. I hope he does very well elsewhere, whether it's in Italy, somewhere else. I just want him to have an opportunity to show what he's truly made of and make Arne Slot swallow those words for years to come. Because if you ask me, I think we are giving up quite a decent amount of depth because we're already losing out on quite a few significant players. We've already lost out on a few striking players. And the fact that Chiesa has not gotten an opportunity, despite all the injuries to the squad in the front positions, is very telling in itself. So, you ask me, Chiesa wants opportunity, is willing to take less pay for it. I support him in that deal. I do not support the club's decision to disrespect him any further, if you ask me. Next up, speaking of trying to bolster the squad and the core, we are trying, or at least reportedly making an attempt to sign Sam Beukema from Napoli for roughly £24 million, which is a move allegedly being pushed by Arne Slot. As far as who Sam Beukema is, I am not familiar with his game. So I did a little bit of research on some previous seasons that he has had across Bologna and Napoli. And if you ask me, maybe not obviously being that he is a center back, perhaps not the most offensively gifted, but certainly willing to do what he needs to do as a defensive player. I mean, just in the last 2 years alone with Bologna, he had only one goal in over 60 appearances and one assist, but also picking up a few yellow cards here and there, but it seems like that is a very rare occurrence. As of this year right now, he only has 2 yellow cards in 23 appearances and matches, and that is coming across all competitions from Champions League football and Serie A. So that is a pretty good sign that he is at least a disciplined defensive player, something I think that we lack a little bit at the moment. And the funny part is that his nationality is Dutch. So, of course, Arne Slot, being who he is going to push the Dutch players because that is what he wants to turn the team into, a litany of French and Dutch players. And whether or not I agree with said move, is my own personal opinion. But the fact of the matter is, on paper, it seems Beukema seems to be a pretty logical signing if this deal is to be accepted. In addition to that, Liverpool view him as an undervalued player, tactically adaptable and very experienced enough to contribute immediately to the squad, considering that we still have a few aspects that are up in the air with what's going on in the center back position. No idea if Konate is still signed. Jaquette could suffer some setbacks in recovery with his injuries. We still don't know how far along Leone is in his recovery. I think it's doing relatively well, but is he going to be match fit in time? So if we need somebody right this minute, on paper, Beukema might be the best bet we have as he is entering his prime years as being a player in the sport. So as much as we are restructuring the offensive side, the defensive restructuring also appears to be an inevitable part of this rebuild going into the following season. So, and of course, his profile fits Slot's priorities as it stands right now, between his composure, his progressive passing, his aggressiveness when it comes to front foot defending, and so on. So it seems like on paper he's a tactical fit, and it would make perfect sense why Arne Slot would want to push so much for him. And 24 million is not necessarily a bad deal. It could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse. So if you ask me, it's somewhat of a bit of a steal, maybe a little bit overpriced compared to maybe how they feel about him, as opposed to, well, in the sense that they feel like he is undervalued. So 24 million might be a little bit up there, depending on how they feel about the undervalued part. But if he's as good as advertised, I think paying that amount of money would make the absolute most sense. As an addition to Adam Wharton, who apparently Liverpool are in advanced talks with. So it seems like that has been something that has been coming about in the rumor mill. I know that we were targeting Adam Wharton. We had our eyes on him, but it seems as though reports are saying that we are now in advanced talks to sign the attacking target, who is valued at around 80 million pounds, which is an absolute insane number. Now, here's what I say. I am not necessarily opposed to signing Wharton. What I am opposed is paying $80 million in the event that it might not work out. Keep in mind, we have Isak, who has been having a litany of problems, will probably come back better next year. That is hopefully the plan. We have Wirtz, who people are using as the scapegoat as it stands right now, which bothers me. So that was also another 100 million down the tubes. So in that sense, what exactly is Liverpool trying to show by paying that much money for a player as it stands right now? I don't know. I think the price tag is something that's a bit concerning for me. I believe Wharton's a good player. I do. I believe that he would be a very good fit under us. It also makes sense because he's also being tracked by other clubs like Man United. So for Liverpool, who are trying to accelerate their attacking rebuild, Adam Wharton might be one of the names that makes the most sense. The price tag, might be reasonable, but I'm not sure if we are willing to pay that much money, especially if you want to, pick up a few more pieces in addition to that. The real reason I'm bringing this up is because do we want to have another $500 million transfer window season? Excuse me. Do we want to have another $500 million transfer window season only for it to flop like it did this year? That is where my fear is coming from now. After when the transfer window in the summer ended, I was all high and mighty. I was super stoked about all the signings that we had. I was unfamiliar with some of them, but I was willing to learn their game. And while I was impressed in some respects, I was also disappointed in others. And, it could come down to the player. It could come down to the team and the coaching. But the fact of the matter is we spent a lot of money for a team that actually got worse when we just won the Premier League title the season prior. So I am now, I'm a little on the edge, a little nervous about the potential of signing anyone and having that price add up to more money. Now, for all I know, it might work out in our favor, especially if we get money for players that are leaving, such as Andy Robertson, which actually I don't think we are, because I believe he's leaving on a free. And I also believe that Salah is leaving on a free. So really the only person that we might be getting any money for could probably be Alisson Becker, which I'll talk about in tomorrow's video, because I have some stuff that was already planned to talk about today. Alisson Becker's situation could allow us to get a decent amount back. Same thing with other players like Curtis Jones, which again, I'll talk about tomorrow. So I'm not sure, man. I am not sure. If Liverpool are willing to spend that heavily, it has to be selective. And if Adam Wharton is the guy that they think he is, and I believe Adam Wharton is the guy that we think he is, I would believe in spending that amount of money. However, there are other players that we have been linked to that I would rather spend more on. But that is just my personal opinion. So we can spend it on someone like Adam Wharton, who I believe is a good player. Price tag might be a little bit over what I would like to pay for him. Or we can spend a lot of money on the likes of guys like Junior Krupi, Diamande, Elise, so on and so forth. So it really just comes down to what's going on with some of those other players I mentioned that will determine whether or not we willingly pay for someone like Wharton $80 million. Or euros or pounds or whatever. I'll tell you what we won't be getting any money back on. For some strange reason, the most protected player in the history of the Premier League, it seems. Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo is untouchable, as Liverpool reportedly refused to entertain any sort of sale on the likes of Cody Gakpo. Any article I have read and any news I have seen state that Liverpool would not allow Gakpo to leave in the summer, and this comes in news of other clubs like Munich, Bayern Munich having some interest, as well as, other clubs as well. Here's what I say about that. We are losing the likes of, we have either lost or are in the process of losing the likes of Ekitike due to injury, who I think is a good player. Isak has been struggling. Will probably be better next year. Hopefully. Salah's leaving. Chiesa will most likely be leaving. But for some reason, want to keep Cody Gakpo as a part of the squad, which does not make any sort of sense to me because, frankly, Cody Gakpo, for much of this season, has been the Achilles heel of the attacking front. And certainly the Achilles heel of the left wing position, for sure. Now, why would Cody Gakpo be so protected? Let's ask ourselves. Apparently, part of it is due to his 50-goal milestone, which was achieved against United this past weekend in 177 appearances. Breaking down, that is 32 total Premier League goals and 9 Carabao Cup goals in total there, as well as 5 Champions League goals and 4 Europa League goals. So he's scored goals. Last season was very evident of that. But for some reason, this season, the success that Gakpo had does not translate to this past or soon to be past season. And for some reason, Liverpool deem it reasonable to not entertain any sort of offers in regards to Cody Gakpo when he has been, like I said, one of the main problems in the front three or the front attacking group. So, and it's funny because the attack has lacked rhythm, cohesion, and consistency. And the only reason why Cody Gakpo has been consistently getting starts in the midst of all of that is because he's certainly available. He's allegedly tactically useful and positionally flexible. Meanwhile, watching him try to pass the ball and dribble the ball to the net is like watching somebody try to play football in quicksand many a time. He's just got absolutely no speed to him, and it's the same old cut in and kick and pass deal with him. He never really kicks the ball, even if he has the opportunity, despite scoring 50 goals as a Liverpool player. So I just don't understand why he is so important to the squad. I don't. I don't know why he's so important to Arne Slot. There's just something. I believe Cody Gakpo is a good player. That's the sad part. If anything, last season when we won the league shows that Cody Gakpo is a good player. He deserves to have a spot, but for some reason this season he has had absolutely no success or little to no success, and it has affected the overall attack and everything I just mentioned in regards to the rhythm, the cohesion, and so on and so forth. So for me, we have to ask ourselves and at least entertain the idea that maybe we can get something out of him. Maybe not during the summer, but certainly in January next year. But for some reason, Arne Slot deems him to be the second coming of Jesus, except this time Jesus is Dutch. So there's a favoritism there that bothers me, truthfully speaking. And if Liverpool decide to let Slot go at the end of the season, which I highly doubt, but if they were, I wonder where Cody Gakpo's position will be then. Because clearly, it has been very evident from a fan perspective that Gakpo has been protected by Slot this entire season, despite him having horrific performances. So I asked myself, what would happen if Slot leaves and, say, Xabi Alonso is hired as manager and takes over? Will Cody Gakpo still be put on that pedestal? If that were to happen, that would be the answer to determine whether or not Gakpo is truly as untouchable as reports make it seem. Because if he's not willing to thrive under a different manager, that should be all you need to know. But that is my Liverpool latest today. A lot of interesting stories talked about there, a lot of interesting options, and some just absolutely asinine decisions in the likes of the Cody Gakpo story. So thank you for joining me today on Liverpool Latest. If you like the video, rate the podcast, whatever you got to do to help the show grow. It would certainly be helpful to me as well as FanArch, who is with me in this endeavor. Most importantly, subscribe to the channel or follow the show wherever you are watching or listening, and share it with your friends, because let's create a community of like-minded Liverpool fans, or fans that may have their own different opinions that I am certainly interested in hearing from. So just know that whenever you watch or whenever you subscribe, know that you, my friend, never walk alone, because when you join the Liverpool Latest family, that's just how it is. I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a great one.